Rain streaked across the restaurant windows in silver lines, blurring the neon lights of Tokyo into shifting pools of color. Renji Arakawa sat quietly at the far end of the private dining room, listening more than speaking. Around the polished wooden table, executives discussed contracts in practiced corporate smiles, while translators moved between Japanese and English with mechanical precision. Numbers, export restrictions, defense procurement. The language changed, but the subject never did. Weapons. Renji turned a small metal lighter in his fingers, more interested in its balance than the conversation itself. The casing was titanium alloy, custom machined by his grandfather decades ago, heavy enough to feel reliable, precise enough to click perfectly every time. 17 generations. That was what the Arakawa family business claimed. Swordsmiths during civil wars, gunsmiths during industrialization, military engineers after that. The world changed and the family adapted with it. But one principle remained untouched. A weapon exists to protect what must survive. His grandfather had repeated those words so often that Renji could still hear the old man's voice whenever he entered a workshop. Across the table, one of the foreign clients laughed loudly. Another raised a glass. Renji barely noticed. Instead, his attention drifted toward the restaurant floor below the private balcony. Families filled the lower dining area. Office workers loosened their ties after long shifts. A little girl sat near the entrance, swinging her legs while drawing something on a paper placemat with crayons. Normal people who never thought about blast pressure, fragmentation patterns, or ballistic penetration. Good, Renji thought. That meant the weapons had done their job. The meeting continued for another 15 minutes before the first gunshot shattered the room. The sound cracked through the restaurant like splitting metal. For half a second, nobody moved. Then screaming erupted downstairs. A second shot punched through the glass wall beside the balcony, spraying shards across the table. One of the executives collapsed instantly, blood spreading across his white shirt. Chaos exploded through the restaurant. "Get down," someone shouted. 3 armed men stormed through the entrance below wearing black jackets and masks. They moved with terrifying speed, firing toward the private sections upstairs. Professional. Renji recognized it immediately. Not random violence, an assassination. The clients scrambled behind overturned tables. One man crawled toward the emergency exit, while another desperately tried calling security with trembling hands. Renji stayed low behind the balcony railing, forcing himself to breathe steadily. Count movements, track positions, 3 attackers, semi-automatic rifles, limited visibility due to civilians, 1 shooter near the entrance, 2 advancing inward. His mind processed the scene automatically, cold and methodical. Then he saw the child, the little girl from earlier, crouched beneath a table near the center of the restaurant floor, frozen, too terrified to move. One of the attackers stepped closer, sweeping the rifle across the room. Renji's jaw tightened. Someone needed to reach her now. He could still escape. The side staircase behind the private rooms remained open. For one brief moment, survival whispered inside him. Then the girl looked up. Wide, terrified eyes met his across the chaos. Renji moved. He vaulted the broken balcony railing and landed hard against the lower floor. Pain shot through his shoulder, but he ignored it, rushing through overturned chairs toward the child. "Come here," he said sharply. The girl stared at him in shock. Another gunshot thundered nearby. Renji grabbed her and pulled her behind a support pillar just as bullets tore through the table where she had been hiding seconds earlier. The restaurant lights flickered. People screamed. Glass shattered somewhere behind them. "Listen to me," Renji said, kneeling in front of the trembling girl. His voice remained calm despite the chaos around them. "When I tell you to run, don't stop, understand?" The child nodded weakly. Renji glanced toward the emergency corridor. Too far. One attacker was already moving toward their position. The gunman raised his rifle. Renji shoved the girl toward the hallway. "Run!" The child sprinted forward. The attacker fired. Pain exploded through Renji's side like burning steel. His body slammed against the pillar, breath vanishing from his lungs. Warm blood soaked through his shirt almost instantly. But the girl kept running. "Good." Renji forced himself upright. The gunman advanced carefully now, rifle aimed directly at him. Another shot hit Renji's shoulder. His legs nearly collapsed. The world blurred around the edges. Still, he stepped sideways, blocking the attacker's line of sight toward the fleeing civilians behind the corridor. A third shot struck him in the abdomen. The impact finally drove him to his knees. Somewhere nearby, sirens echoed faintly through the rain. The attackers cursed. Police response. Too fast. One of them shouted for retreat. Renji barely heard it anymore. The restaurant's ceiling lights shimmered above him like distant stars reflected through water. His vision dimmed slowly as cold spread through his body. Strangely, he felt no fear. Only one thought remained. Did the child escape? Darkness swallowed everything. The restaurant was gone. An endless white expanse stretched in every direction without horizon or shadow. No sound, no wind, only emptiness. You died protecting someone you did not know. The voice came from everywhere at once. Renji turned. A figure stood several steps away, neither man nor woman, wrapped in flowing light that shifted like liquid glass. Its face remained impossible to focus on. Renji stared for a moment before speaking. So this is death. The being tilted its head slightly. You are calmer than most. I assumed dying would hurt more. That seemed to amuse the entity. You spent your life creating weapons, Renji Arakawa. Yet in the end, you chose to shield a stranger rather than save yourself. Renji lowered his gaze quietly. I only did what anyone should have done. No, the being replied. Most would have run. The white void trembled faintly around them. There is another world, the god continued. A harsher one. A world of monsters, nobility, warfare, and magic governed by laws unlike your own. Magic. Renji frowned slightly. The word sounded absurd even here. The being extended a hand toward him. Would you like to live again? For the first time since waking in the void, Renji hesitated. Another life, another world, another chance. Slowly he nodded. The white light swallowed him instantly. Cold air brushed against soft skin. Distant voices echoed nearby. A woman crying softly, someone laughing with relief. Renji tried to move, but his body felt impossibly small and weak. His eyelids fluttered open. Blurred candlelight filled his vision. Stone walls, wooden ceiling beams, a medieval room illuminated by fire instead of electricity. Then a man's exhausted voice spoke nearby. The third son. Renji stared upwards silently from the cradle, and somewhere deep inside him, he understood. His second life had begun.